Start by placing the clay in the center of the wheel. Use the bottom of your hands to press towards the bat and seal the clay. This will prevent any water from getting underneath the clay. You can push down and inward to try and get the clay closer to center before you start the wheel. Next, find a medium speed. Apply water to the clay and to your hands. The first step is centering. Use your left hand to push forward, countering with your right hand, and slowly move your hands up towards the top. This will create a cone shape. Reapply water. Then place your left hand on the top with the pad of your thumb on the top of the cone. Supporting with the right hand, push downwards and inwards to compress the clay. This will force the clay into a biscuit shape. Make sure the clay is centered before moving on to the opening step. To open, put your left thumb on top of the clay with the sponge and your middle and pointing finger of your right hand pushing downwards. The goal is to focus on the depth of the opening. You can always double check to make sure you've gone deep enough. To create the width, you'll need to focus on allowing your middle finger and your thumb to be as vertical as possible and pull backwards on the clay. Again, make sure it's centered before moving on to the next step. Clean the bottom with a sponge. To dome, you'll place your left hand with the fingertips at the bottom. You'll connect the hands with the thumb and use all 4 fingers in the right hand and push into the sponge. When you see the indentations of your fingers, you can move upwards in a diagonal direction. Do this slowly and consistently. To compress the lip, you'll use your thumb to push inwards, your middle finger to push outwards, and the sponge pushing down. This will compress the lip and smooth out the top. For the pulling step, you'll use the same general hand positions as doming, except for the right hand will only use the middle finger and pointing finger. Start by using pressure with the middle finger at the base, creating a dent. You'll angle your fingers upwards and slowly move towards the top of the lip. Try and create a consistent distance between your fingertips. The goal with each pull is to focus on reducing the thickness of the clay. With each pull, you try and create a smaller distance between the fingertips of your left and right hand. Don't always focus on changing the pressure, but rather the distance. A common challenge is when you get towards the top of a cylinder, if the angling starts to bow outwards. To correct this, you can do a collaring technique. You'll create a circle between the thumb and the middle fingers. You'll place it underneath the neck of the form, reduce the circumference of your hands, and move through the top. This will force the clay into a smaller, circular shape. There is no specific height to achieve with a cylinder, but rather a specific thickness. So with each pull, you determine if the thickness is correct. This cylinder will require 1 more pull, and the final pull will make sure the bottom and the top have a similar thickness. Now you're ready for the shaping. Shaping is generally done with a similar technique to pulling, and it's called a shaping pull. The only difference is you'll change the pressure between your 2 hands, following a contour of the shape you want to create. In this case, the bottom will be bellied outwards. This will require the inside hand to push slightly harder than the outside hand. As you create that pressure, slowly move upwards, allowing all sides of the form to be changed. If you want the form to come back inwards, you'll have to create an extra pressure with the outside hand. Always finish your shaping pull by going through the top, even if you don't change the shape of the top portion. The second shaping technique is collaring, which we used before in our cylinder phase. Collar by using the thumb to the middle finger, reducing the circumference of your hands, and moving through the top. Make sure there's enough water to reduce the friction in that movement. After collaring, you'll need to needle tool the top. Hold the needle tool with a pencil grip, put the middle finger on the inside, scratch a line, and move all the way through. When it's all the way through, lift up a full ring of clay and remove it. Next, we'll use rib tools to help perfect the surface and shape. You can use either rubber or metal rib. Hold the metal rib with the thumb on one side and 4 fingers on the opposite side. You can arc the tool to create a contour. Link the hands if possible to the inside fingers so you can get a pressure outwards. By pushing outwards towards the rib, you can remove a lot of the soft and wet surface. Always remove the clay to prevent the rib tool from sticking when you apply the pressure again. You can use the rib tool by pushing it downwards or upwards along the contour to smooth out multiple parts of the form. Remove the clay again. On a top portion, you might be able to use the side of the rib tool. By linking the hands, you can create a small pressure, but also have a better transition in the movement of your tool. You can use the rib tool as well to work on the bottom portion. Be careful to not let the edge of the rib tool touch the bat. After using the metal rib tool, you can follow that up with a rubber rib tool. This surface is a little bit softer and can reduce any lines created by the metal rib. Remove any clay with each attempt. Work the rib tool along the form until you've reached the desired surface and shape. Now we'll work on the top lip of the form. First, start by compressing the lip and reducing the sharp edges. You can do this by putting a fingertip on either corner of the lip, using the sponge as needed. After you have a rounded lip, you can angle the lip by putting a finger on the outside and tilting the clay towards that finger. This requires only a gentle pressure from the inside finger. After you've finished the lip, you can use a rib again to make sure the transition in the neck is nice and smooth. To make sure no lines are created, use a really light pressure. To further decorate the form, you can create lines. This can be achieved by using an upside down fingernail of the right hand and putting slight pressure from the inside fingers towards that. You could also create it by using the cornered edge of the rib tool. You can soften the sharp edges with a sponge. Just make sure water from the sponge doesn't drip down the form because it can change the surface quality. You can continue using the corner of the rib tool to create multiple lines. Soften the lines with a sponge as needed. To perfect the bottom of the form, you'll use a wooden knife tool. Hold it in the palm of your right hand with your pointing finger going down the width of the tool and the tapered edge facing the pot. You'll angle your wrist downwards and create an angle that matches close to that of your pot. Allow the front of the tool to push downwards towards the black bat, keeping the angle close to the pot at all times. Stop the wheel, cut the line of clay that you want removed, and place your tool flat and spin it again. This will remove the clay without affecting the shape of your pot. This demo only shows one style of vase shape and decoration, but you could choose different ones for your vase.